to me next week, and we're going to have a great show. I promise. We're leaving September and going into October, so we're going to do some great opals next week. That's going to be the exciting thing that we're going to do there. So I promised on yesterday's show that we're going to have a different sphere out here. Any guesses on what we have here? It's large, it's black, it's not a bowling ball. There are no holes drilled into it. It doesn't have someone weird's name on it or anything like that. So as you can see, when it has some light on it and you look at it, there's something underneath. So I'm sure that there are a lot of great guesses there in the chat. And if I had to guess, there's probably some correct guesses on it, but this is obsidian. And it verges on velvet obsidian, as you can see, with that nice little bit of velvety texture underneath. Now, funny story with this. So you've seen the large egg, you've seen the large onyx sphere, and now the obsidian sphere. So we bought this all on the same buying trip. So as we were loading up the truck to come back home, thankfully it was a short little drive, but we were like, how are we going to get this stuff secure in the car? Because it's not like there's a box that fits it. Hey, I see myself. I'm being spied on by me. So we were like, what are we going to do with this? So the egg, we buckled into the seat belt behind me in the back seat. We put the large onyx sphere onto the base that it was on in the back, pushed all of our luggage and everything else that we were bringing back up to keep it in place. And then we were like, well, what are we going to do with the obsidian? Thankfully, we were in a large Chevy Suburban. Sorry, I just said brands. I apologize. I probably shouldn't have. And we stuffed this into the center console. Thankfully, the center console was large enough to hold this and my sweatshirt up against it so it wouldn't roll around. So sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. A lot of times gems and minerals can be called pocket assets because you can put them in your pocket. No one really knows that you have them, but couldn't really put this in my pocket. It's not really going to work out that way. So today, that's a good idea. Next time I will have a bowling ball bag because there are one or two bigger spheres just like the onyx from yesterday that will show off. So maybe next time. So what do we have here today for our show? We have a wonderful stone that gets confused sometimes with the synthetic because the names are so close together. But we're going to do a little bit of zircon. And these are all going to be blue zircons. And I chose these because when we brought them in and we're working them up, I was really kind of blown away. Like I've seen a lot of blue zircon in my time here. And blue zircon is a stone that you generally will see more pale colors. You don't see a lot of vivids. Now, zircon is a really, really unique stone. It's unique in a lot of ways. It has a high birefringence to it, which is why we have our loupe in today's show. GT005, it's $13.99. Everyone needs to have a good loupe. But one of the great things about this loupe, and anybody can do this, is it's pretty much the easiest way to tell you have a zircon versus cubic zirconia, because that is the confusing part. So like when you go down the list of just all the gemological things of, this is over the limit. It has a high, refractive index. So does CZ. So zircon CZ, high refractive index. It gives off dispersive colors. So does CZ, so does zircon, so does diamond, so does phene. A lot of different things. So the main separator in all of these is doubling of the facets. That's very important. So when you ask doubling of facets, when you look inside of this stone, you'll see kite shapes down at the bottom. And what you're going to look for when you look inside this stone is you want to see where it just like overlaps on itself. And a lot of times with good zircon, and almost all zircon, I shouldn't say good zircon, because sometimes if they don't cut it on the right axis or the same axis, they'll make that doubling kind of disappear. I'm not sure why they do that. There's really no valuation difference. I would say that it might be a poor cut that they do that because it's one of your identifying factors. So if you were gonna like hide that doubling, it almost makes me think that you're trying to hide something with that stone and maybe sell it as something that it's not. But you would always want to sell, like for me, zircon, it's great because it does have that doubling. Now, I set it on its table like this because I want you to see just how deep that pavilion is. It's just interesting. And this is the other thing for me. That's how I always know when I see a zircon, is the blocky square facets on the pavilion. It's just something that you see. But I really like this stone. It's a nice round stone. It's a carat 93. It's just under 2 carats. And it's a 6.2 millimeter round. So zircon comes in all of these colors: red, blue, yellow, green. Green is one that if you come across a green zircon, I'm not telling you to be scared. Use a little bit of caution. Green zircons are usually a little bit radioactive. They can be. Now, all zircons contain a bit of uranium in them. It's just, it is. It's not something to really worry about. A lot of times, you know, with the half-life of things, and there are scientists who can explain this stuff a lot better. Green zircon is the only zircon that I have ever seen in my time here at Jewelry Television that had to be kept in a lead box and set off the Geiger counter like crazy, to the point that we decided that we were going to donate that green zircon as a teaching tool. So it was really bright, like a candy apple green. It really was one that now whenever I see green zircon, I exercise a little bit of caution. It's not something I would ever purchase. I would purchase for myself. I would never bring it in here as a sales for Jewelry Television. It's just one of those things. So with the blue zircon, they are heat treated. Normal thing, completely standard. A lot of zircon is going to be heat treated or irradiated to bring out that color or solidify that color. And zircon's another one, because of that uranium, it kind of self-degrades from the inside. Now, what'll happen is it kind of just eats away at itself, and it'll lose density and it'll lose color over time. Now, is that time going to be your lifetime? Is it going to lose color while you own it or while you have it and appreciate it? Most likely not. The only time I've ever seen that is when it's a white zircon that will revert back to its almost champagne tones. A lot of this destruction and, you know, color change is over hundreds of years, thousands of years. It would not be over your lifetime. Now, I'm going to show this one on my hand because it is a large spread on the hand. And a carat 93 and a 6.2, like normally a 6.2 millimeter, I would not call a larger stone. This one looks pretty big. Even on my hand, it looks really good. And just the bright light that's coming back off of it. You know, I had mentioned the spectral colors and dispersion. Sometimes you won't see it with zircon, even like with sphene, sphalerite. Sphalerite, you're always going to see it. You can't hide that. But sometimes the body color will mask the dispersion that you would see with, you know, a high dispersion stone. And this is one too that, you know, would simulate a blue diamond very well. But it's that double refraction, the doubling of the facets, that's really going to tell you that you don't have a diamond, because diamond is singly refractive. Sorry, just answering something really quick. I apologize. Work never stops, even when I'm down here. So you can see the large crown facets that are on it. The table is very well proportioned when you look at it. And that's the great thing. That's what you want with a stone like this. You want all of the light that you can to come in and enter this crown. Sorry, Shane, stay where you're at. I'll get back on that when I do it. You want all the light you can to go into that crown, and you want it to bounce around. That's why it has that blocky faceting on the bottom and not like the kite shapes that you would normally see on, you know, a round brilliant cut stone. Because with a stone like this, you want it to, that light to bounce around as much as possible to come back out of those crown facets and table, because that's where all that dispersion is going to come from. Just an absolutely beautiful stone. And I'm going to try to remember to wipe all these down with my cloth, because it's important that you see how nice all these look. Now, the next one that we have is a 7x6 oval. So cut weird, right? That's not a standard calibrated size. That's almost a round. So it's an odd looking oval, but when you look at the color, it makes a bit of sense. That is fantastic blue color. That is some of the deepest blue color that I've seen in a blue zircon. And that's what really jumped out. Like, I was helping Trisha, you know, look at these stones when they first came in as she was building skews for them. And I was kind of blown away at the color that was coming off these stones, because the thousands and thousands of carats of blue zircon that I've seen over time, most of what I see is like that powder blue. You don't see deep, vivid colors like you do on this stone. And I just had to stop just because that stone looks so good. The cut is very nice on here. And as you look at this stone as it stopped on there, you're seeing uniformity everywhere. You know, it's matching light blue colors on each side of the stone. And I'm cutting into it, so I'm cutting into the light that's going into that stone with my tweezers, so you're seeing that jump. When you see the uniformity of color like that, it means that it's cut very well. It's cut very evenly. Even with it being a 7x6 and it not being an 8x6 or a 7x5 that you would typically see, you're seeing that lighter color on both sides. So it's very well cut. It's a very well cut stone. And especially for a blue zircon, that's what you want. You want the light to not get lost when it returns to you. If you saw like a dropout in color, or the color isn't showing all the way through that stone, that means that there's an angle on the bottom of it that you're not really seeing. And the other thing, and I'm just going to turn this stone completely around because you're seeing it, I noticed it before. As it turns, you'll see little flashes of greens that are inside that stone, or a bright blue flash that comes out. That's that dispersion that I'm talking about. So when you have these stones, this one's really showing the dispersion very well, even for a darker blue stone. So basically what's happening is when all the Roy G. Biv comes in on that light, which is Roy G. Biv a strictly American term? I know we have an international audience. Is that like, yeah. Okay. It's a whole lot. We can look it up on our favorite search engine. So Roy G. Biv, for an American, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Those are the colors of the rainbow. That's how you learn it. So with this, your Roy G. Biv goes into the stone and it gets split and scattered out. So the color that you're seeing is basically, it's the color that hasn't been absorbed by the stone. All the other colors have been absorbed by that stone, by all the atoms inside of it and the chemicals inside of it. And what we're seeing back is this really nice, rich blue color. Now, all the dispersion is all the bits of light that are scattering out that aren't being hit. It has a high birefringence. It's an over the limit stone. So it's scattering all of those lights, and you're seeing those spectral colors come back at you. Like I said, sphene does it, sphalerite does it, cubic zirconia does it, diamond does it. All of these over the limit high dispersion stones, demantoid garnet's another one, they're all going to give you those spectral colors back at you. And that's what makes it sparkle. That's what everyone wants to see. That's why you want it in a pendant. If you're someone who talks with their hands, you want a stone that has that high dispersion, because as you're talking, if you're outside, light is going to catch, hit, scatter, and catch someone's eye, and they're going to go, oh, what's Julie wearing? You're instantly drawn to it. I always say I'm big on planes, where when I'm on a plane and I see all that reflection of light go on the side of, you know, the airplane wall, in my mind I'm like, okay, someone's wearing a really nice diamond, really nice CZs, really nice zircon, or moissanite. And then usually the bigger the spread and reflection of light on there, I always do this thing. I don't even know. I think someone in my previous life had done this, and I've always picked up on it, but I always go, puff, puff. Like we're walking in high grass over here. Someone's got some deep pockets, that big spread that I see. But some of the biggest spread I've ever seen on a ceiling was on moissanite. So, you know, even synthetics and things like that give big dispersion. But zircon is one that definitely does. Now, this is a 2.31 carat, $85. This is a really, like, for the color, for, you know, the color, what it is, how well it's cut, $85. That is a very, very fair price for that. That's just under, well, $85, 2.31 carats. That's right around $40 a carat. That is an extremely good value for what that is. And again, just avoid long periods, and I'm talking days outside. You know, it would be continuous periods of sunlight, because the color does fade over time, and you want to protect that stone just a little bit. I mean, any kind of nice stone you would want to protect. So this next one, I really like this one a lot. This is a cushion cut blue zircon. And this is a 1.63 carat, 7.5 by 4.3. So it's got a little bit of different cut. And again, no surprise, blocky square facets on the pavilion of the stone. It's pretty much the trademark cut of zircon. Which is funny that I say the trademark cut, the next two stones after this one. One of them is, I don't understand why they cut it this way at all. Doesn't matter, it's unique. And that's something that I really like, especially with colored gemstones. A lot of them tend to have the same cut or same shape because they're following the crystal shape when they do this, right? So that's something that you don't see certain types of cuts in certain stones because it would cause too much waste. Now, on this one here, the color is just a little bit lighter. And again, I stopped it right at the right time. You can see that band of light going straight up through the stone. Uniform cut. Really important to mention that. Now, this one's $60. So with that cut, the shape, carat 63. So carat 63. Really good color on this one, and with the blocking of the facets. So the good thing about zircon is it's a fairly hard stone, and it's resistant to a lot of, we're going to say, weathering. I use that term for a specific reason. Zircon is a common crust of the earth mineral. You'll see it a lot in a lot of different igneous rocks. It's made up in there. So when you see natural erosion, sometimes with that natural erosion and weathering, the thing that's left, zircon. Zircon crystals. They might not be facetable crystals. They might not be gemmy crystals, but they will be there because they're resistant to a lot of weathering. When I said it's fairly hard, it's a 7.5 on the Mohs. It is the main source of zirconium. Now, funny story, this tooth, not real. I had some problems with one of my smilers, and my dentist replaced it with a zirconium tooth. I used to have a zirconium tooth. I was so proud of it. One of the main things that made me proud about it, it fluoresced. It was my favorite stop on the last bit of a tour, showing fluorescence. When I first met Shane and Amy and Eric, I was just talking about fluorescence with them. The great thing about working in this building, you pick up a lot of stuff by osmosis. Whether or not you want to be a gemologist, whether or not you like gemstones, minerals, whatever, you pick stuff up through osmosis. So they knew what fluorescence was. I was showing them a ring, I think, and who knows what it was. The last stop was my smile. And I hit it with the UV light. My tooth glows. It's a showstopper. It really is one of those things. Now, zirconium is really hard. It's really strong. When my dentist told me I had a zirconium tooth, he said I had the strongest front tooth in all of Knoxville, and it was going to be my nut cracking tooth. Never really did that, but you know, those were the days. So what is zircon used for the most? Or zirconium? I'm going to tell you what it's used for. I like dropping these little bits of knowledge because you have to have some bits of knowledge. Sometimes you just scratch your head and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to say about this stuff. I really don't. It's kind of hard because a lot of stuff, it's just up here from the gemological training. You learn so much as you're doing it, but it's kind of chemical formulas, unique things about it. This is an opacifier. I like that word a lot. Opacifier. Do we know what that means? I'm waiting to see if Shane knows what it means. It causes things to be opaque. So lenses, like glasses lenses, if you want like a reflected type thing, it's been used in the ceramic industry for a very long time. a very long time. And it's just used to make things opaque. That's really all it is. But I really like that word, opacifier. So when I say that it's been used for a long time, it could be used for a very, 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 very long time. One of the coolest things to me about zircon is because of that uranium, it's used to do a lot of like dating and record keeping, right? So there are some zircon crystals that have been dated to be back almost 4 billion years. So zircon is very, very, very old. It's just been around for a very long time. So there's no telling how long it's been used for some of its uses. And Shane just piped in my ear and said, it's been found on the moon. How about that? Outer space rocks. I like outer space rocks. Sheesh. So he said it was found on the moon because of meteor strikes that hit Earth, and the impact was so strong, it landed on the moon. Glad I wasn't around for that meteor. I don't think anybody was around for that after that meteor hit. So this is the one, I'm trying to line this up. Why do I not see this anywhere, Shane? I'm seeing shadows. It doesn't matter. Shane will find it. This was the one that I was like, why did they cut this way? It didn't make sense to me. I like it because it's super unique. It's not something you see that often, but after everything that I said about zircon, birefringence, strong doubling, dispersion, why would you cut a cabochon? It has no facets. It has nothing to reflect light off of to bounce back to you. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's just kind of like all of the great optical properties and things that make it so unique. Why did we cut it into a cabochon? It's just odd to me. It's very cool. Like it honestly, to me, especially when it's on that turntable and is spinning around, had a resemblance of a flying saucer, honestly. Because the way the light was hitting evenly, you can even see it with the reflection going across that surface, I don't know, there's something about it that looks really cool. A lot of transparent stones, when they do cut it into a cabochon, it almost brings out something different inside that stone that you would never see or notice when it's faceted. Because again, the blocky faceting that you see on the pavilion of a stone, it just, right when I see it, 9 times out of 10, I can look at a zircon when it's loose or set in a ring and kind of say, I think I know what this is. I have a pretty good guess. On this, I wouldn't have a clue because I would look at it and say, okay, it's blue, could be aquamarine. I've seen cab aquamarine before. Could be topaz, both doubly refractive stones. And the great thing about this is it's got a curved top, probably got a pretty good polish on it because with zircon you can get an adamantine luster on it. So I'm going to be able to get an RI. It's going to be a spot RI or a distant vision RI. So I can do that. The only problem is it's over the limit, so that's not going to help me. So I would be very confused by this cabochon if I saw it. Now, the good thing with the cabochon is a $70 stone. It's a 1.81 carat. So the pricing really good on it, and it's extremely unique. The color is very rich and vivid. It's got a deep color on it. And it's that, bluish green, or greenish blue. Sorry, I always get them backwards. Little b, little g. You never know which one you get in front of you. But it's got such good color to it. I'm a really big fan of this stone. This would look great as a pair of cufflinks for somebody. There are so many different things that you can do with a cabochon stone. And cabochons, there's reasons that you see in the world that something is built with a curve or a dome, and it's to make things stronger. And cabochon gemstones are no different. Like cabochon gemstones can take a beating. There's a little bit of scratching that might come along with it, but with the 7.5 on the Mohs, you're not going to see it too bad. But just look at that crisp reflection that's coming off that stone. Chef's kiss on that one. I questioned why they cut it as a cabochon. I'm not questioning it anymore. I'm a big fan. I think they made the right choice with that piece. The color's really nice. Can't beat it. Now, here's the other one where Very non-typical cut on a stone like this. This probably the only one I've ever seen in this material. Again, great color. On first glance, I would look at this stone and say, well, that's a beautiful tourmaline. You have a really nice indicolite tourmaline there. But the more you look at it and the more you go into it, and that's another great one because tourmaline is another one that usually exhibits some pretty strong doubling in it because it has such a large jump in its RI because it's right around the 162 to the 167, I believe. I'm looking over there towards the booth because Shane knows his RIs like I do. It sounds about right. So that was one of the first ones that I look at. So when you're looking at a refractometer, like your numbers are just kind of on a dial. So they're spaced like 140 all the way up to like 19. You're never really going to see anything in the 19. So when you're looking at it on the 162, like your 162 is there, you spin the stone around a little bit and you just see that line jump. Like, and it is a noticeable jump. If you're not seeing it, you're not paying attention close enough to it. Now, zircon has such high birefringence, but you don't really notice it because those lines are cut off because it's over the limit. This is kind of what happens. I know I just start talking about things that get me excited, and you guys at home are like, what is this guy talking about? It doesn't make any sense. Just look into it. It's really cool, I promise, especially, you know, birefringence, strong doubling, refractometers. They're great, fun tools. That was kind of, I'm going to pay attention on this next one as it spins around because I think I saw that doubling on this piece. Now, this is a 5.29 carat stone. Those numbers have to be off because that is not a 1.2 millimeter. So that's one that we'll have to check. So the great thing about this one, what you're seeing here, it's known as a radiant cut. Sometimes it could be called a scissor cut, depending on who's saying it. But Trish is saying it, so we're calling it a radiant cut, which is correct. So I kind of stopped it there. You see that light blue up at the very top of that. You see how you can kind of see like the light blue with a little bit lighter blue? Down at the bottom, you see it where it overlaps. You're seeing the doubling of that stone, of those facets. And that is just from that strong birefringence. And it is in there. I can see it up in the corner up here. I see it in a couple of spots. And you know, the way you really tell, so, and this is from the Gemological Institute of America training, you have to see it from 3 different directions to really say that you're seeing strong doubling. You could be seeing all kinds of things. You know, it's really great when you have an inclusion inside of it because the inclusion is going to double too depending on the angle that you're looking at it. But you have to look in 3 different directions to find the strong doubling. So the great thing with zircon, and a big zircon depending on how it's cut, look to your table facet, change your angle, look to your crown facets, and then turn it over and look at the bottom and try and look up through the top and see if you can see doubling in those crown facets. Now, what's wonderful, and you can probably go onto the website and look at any of the round cut zircons that are on the website. Just open up that picture. There's a really good chance you're going to see very strong doubling just in that picture. And that's the big thing about zircon is its eye visible doubling. You don't generally need magnification on it, but the great thing about zircon and your loupe is you're going to see it without a doubt. So all you have to do is just generally, you just kind of pull it up, look at it, you rock it back and forth, and you're going to see your doubling. I can't believe I'm doing this on camera because looking at a loupe, especially when someone's watching you or on camera, is the most self-conscious thing in the world because you don't want to close your other eye. You know, you're taught, like, keep your eyes open. So it's like you're looking at something and you have your other eye open and you look like a crazy person. That's pretty much what it is. You ought to have people watch you use a refractometer because you look like an even crazier person because your head's bobbing up and down. That's your training, is to try and you're watching those lines move. So that is the great thing. One day we will do some tweezer and loupe training live on this show. Tell me that you have a loupe. Tell me that you have tweezers. If you're inexperienced with them, you'll still have a great time, I promise you, because That's the most important thing if you ever go out to shows or if you ever talk to somebody about gemstones, is you want to have the right kind of training, because within about 5 minutes, it doesn't even take 5 minutes. Within about 45 seconds of someone using either a loop or tweezers in front of me, I can gauge your experience level pretty quickly. Now, Tom Joyce is not a salesperson. There's a lot of people who aren't. And if you don't know how to use tweezers or a loop, it's going to affect the price of whatever you're about to purchase drastically. So, little helpful hint from Tom Joyce. Practice with your tweezers as much as possible, and your loop as well. Find your dominant eye. We'll go over that another time. I've been droning on way too long. Zircon. If you don't have one, go ahead and get it. These are priced very well for the depth of color that's on here. Unique stone, 5.29 carats, radiant cut, and this is $435. So for just under a 5.5 carat stone, yes, that price tag is a little bit bigger, but for what you're getting, it's a really good value, especially from a teaching standpoint. Now, the Velvet Obsidian, not for sale. That's staying here with me. This is one that I'm proud of. I was so excited to bring this back to JTV. We have so many good display pieces throughout this building, and I was really excited to bring this back as another addition to our display. So thank you so much for watching. Kevin came in. I'm in trouble. I'm going to wrap this up. Schaumburg's own Kevin. Don't put ketchup on a hot dog around this kid. He ain't having it. I made the mistake of bringing it up. I got scolded. I got browbeat. I mean browbeat. And that's another American thing. If you're over in other countries, you're probably like, what is this guy still talking about? Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. As always, we had fun. Let's have fun again next time. Bye.